Dear brothers and sisters, today is the 19th Sunday in Ordinary Time. I like to begin this reflection by reminding us that our life is a journey. Our life is like a pilgrimage, and we are the pilgrims on this pilgrimage. Our life is full of uncertainties. Before I talk about these uncertainties in life and why we should do what Jesus has asked us to do today, I would like us to remember three important things, or four important things, or five important things. Now, the first one is that everything that we possess, we don't own them. It is only God who owns everything. We are basically stewards. We are basically caretakers. That is why someday that we are going to die, we are going to die and leave them behind because they don't belong to us. The second point I would like us to remember today is that there's going to be a day of reckoning, a day when each and every one of us will deliver our own account to God. It's a day of rendering, our accountability, how we have used, how we have, distributed, how we have shared the things that God has entrusted to us. Now, this day of reckoning is a day that is unknown. It's a day that is so uncertain. Just as we see in the second reading in the life of Abraham. Abraham experienced this kind of situation whereby God asked him to go to a place where he did not know. But because of his relationship with God, because faith for me is not just a supernatural gift. Faith for me is not just something that we memorize. No, faith for me is a relationship. So Abraham knew God, and that's why he entrusted his future into the hands of God. So many of us forget that there's going to be a day of reckoning. Many of us forget that the things that we possess here, they do not belong to us because we do not know really who God is. We prefer to have a relationship with the material things we possess and not with the person who gives the material things that we possess. That is a tragedy of our own generation, that we have more relationship with the things given to us than the person who is the giver. Now, the third thing that we have to remember today, dear brothers and sisters, is that Jesus basically gave us a consolation, an assurance, a confidence that the Father is pleased with us, that God is available, that God is excited, that God is enthusiastic, that God wants to welcome us. So he tells us today, do not be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't live in fear because God wants to bring you into his presence. Now, having known that God wants to bring us into his presence, Jesus tells us the few things that we must do in order to enter into this presence of God. The presence of God is our destiny. The presence of God is our ultimate destination because salvation basically means the ultimate communion, the ultimate embrace between divinity and humanity. So Jesus began today by telling us the basic thing that we have to do. And the first thing is that he asked us to sell what we have and give alms to the poor, to the needy. Many of us will say, no, Father, I don't have any material thing to share. Okay, no problem. But St. John Paul II will tell us that no one is so poor that he or she has nothing to give, and no one is so rich that he or she has nothing to receive. There's no one without a gift from God. Matthew chapter 25 reminds us that there's no human being that did not receive a talent, at least one. Now, if we say we have no money, we have nothing to sell and share with the needy, what about the three T's? Our time, our talents, our treasures. If we count treasures out and we talk about time and talents, there are many people around us who are, searching and craving for attention. Why can't we, give them some time? The person may be your wife looking for attention. It may be your husband looking for attention. It may be your child, your children, your neighbors. So we can use our time generously by spending the time with the people who need our attention. There are many people who are in the periphery of their lives. There are those who are in the margin of their lives. There are those who are already sitting at the edge of their life. There are so many people in emotional periphery. They need words of encouragement. They need someone to show them solidarity. They need someone to listen to them. When I hear that someone is depressed or someone committed suicide, I'm always asking myself, were there no people around this person? Because sometimes we are so busy with our cell phone and gadgets and all that, and we forget to reach out or to spend time with the right people or the people who need some attention. Now, the second way that we have to get into this presence that Jesus tells us that his Father is really, very happy and open to welcome us is by being prepared, by being vigilant, and by being ready. How can we do all these three? How can we be prepared when we don't know when the Son of Man is going to come? The basic answer or the response to that question is that Jesus tells us how to be ready. How to be ready is to use the things that we possess, the things that we have received from God, to use them to distribute, to use them to share, to use them and be generous with the things that we have received. That is the basic way we prepare ourselves for the unknown hour, for the time that Jesus himself will come, the Son of Man will come to take us, into that eternal bliss, into that eternal kingdom. So that's the way we get prepared. By getting prepared is not by building tall walls or building a lot of security outfits to protect us. No, getting prepared is by using what we have. It could be our talent. We all have talents. It could be, whatever we have, we use it to touch the lives of other people. Every act of kindness we perform, every act of generosity that we perform, we are storing treasures, in heaven. It's not going to go unrewarded. And that's why in the gospel today we hear Jesus saying that the Son of Man will also gird his loins and he will begin to serve. That is a symbol of reward. There's no act of generosity that you do here on earth that God will ever forget. God will never forget. He will always reward us for every act of generosity that we perform. Now, one thing we have to do in order really to get prepared is to embrace the life of detachment. That's why you look at the gospel, Jesus uses the word gird, Gird. To gird simply means to put together, to put in check, to have a self-control. It is all under the umbrella word of detachment. Detachment does not mean throwing away your material possessions, no. But detachment means using your material possessions to inspire, to influence, and to touch the lives of the people who are in need. That's what detachment means. It doesn't mean abandoning what you possess, but it means using what you possess to touch the lives of other people positively. Now, finally, Jesus tells us something that we should not forget. And that is the fact that to whom much is given, much will be expected. So if you have received a lot of blessings from God, remember that God is expecting a lot of generosity from you. Don't say, oh, I don't have anything. It will be a metaphysical sin in the words of St. Thomas Aquinas. It will be a tragedy for us to fail to recognize that we are gifted. And if we fail to recognize that we are gifted, then that is an abuse. Because if you look at the passage, the gospel passage today, the maidservant was also abusing his talent and his position. Anytime we fail to recognize our talents, anytime we fail to put our talents into use in reaching out, in changing the lives of the people, anytime we fail to use our treasures, our talents, our time for common good, it is an abuse of that gift. It's an abuse of that talent. So nobody will say, no, I did not know this, I did not know. Jesus wants us to really take note of these things. It is not enough to say, no, I have nothing to share. We all have got something to share. We all have got something to share. Just before I conclude this reflection, I would like us to pay attention to this phrase or clause, at the proper time. Some generosity can be late, and when a generosity is performed or is a late generosity, it is an insult to generosity itself and an insult to God, who has given us everything that we may share. For instance, someone is sick in the hospital. You have the money to help to buy medicine or to sponsor the medical bills of this person, but you choose not to help. But as soon as you hear that this person died, you will volunteer to buy the coffin. That's a late generosity. That's a fake generosity. So, at the proper time, if we have to be generous, we have to do it at the proper time, not at the wrong time. So, we must be timely. When someone is in need of something, we should do our best to provide for that person. Not when the person dies, we begin to cry and say, I love you, I love. No, that's a fake kind of love. Let us ask the Lord today to grant us His grace, a grace of relationship, just as the way He granted it to Abraham, that we may understand that what fulfills us is not the material possessions we have, but it is our relationship with Him, our God. God bless you.